Welcome to Retirement Ramblings. I'm Scott, and today is day 114 on my countdown to retirement, plus a quick catch up on day 115, which I missed yesterday. So, for day 115, I ended up calling DirecTV about their upcoming price increase that's going to happen after October 5th. They're going to go up on the base plan by $6 a month. And this is on top of the upgrade they already did last year. So now it would increase my cost from $86.99 a month up to $92.99. And really, we only watch a handful of channels. So for us, that's just a ridiculous price. So anyway, I called DirecTV and got a customer service guy and went through the whole process. He was trying to convince me why they had to increase their price. I explained to him I used to work at the Weather Channel, and I understand how carriage fees work and how they negotiate with folks like DirecTV, etc. And quite honestly, I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I don't care about having ESPN. I don't care about a bunch of the other channels that they're trying to add, and that's why their costs are going up. Like, I don't want those channels. So fundamentally, he ended up giving me a $20 one-time credit, which will cover me to make sure I stay whole until the end of the year when I retire. But it also gives me time to research other alternatives, because there's no way I'm going to be paying over $90 a month for my television. Like, it's just not going to happen. We don't work. Like I said, I don't watch that much TV. So then I chatted with my sister. She pulled the offer they had made on the second single family home in Colorado that she was looking at, and instead started negotiating on a condo that was move-in ready. So the single family home was going to require a significant amount of renovation work that they would have to do from afar, whereas the condo literally, it's ready to go. So they're negotiating on that. Plus the condo allows you to Airbnb it when you're not there, so you can make some revenue back if you so choose, from your quote-unquote second home. Whereas the individual home, the HOA association there, didn't allow for that. The shortest duration that you could rent for was a month. So that obviously doesn't work for someone who's using their home to go out and ski and whatever, and then hopefully will be able to get some revenue out of the home to pay for their HOA fees and just the normal maintenance of the home. And then my son and daughter-in-law were looking for OBGYNs and birthing centers near Raleigh, but all the doctors that they had talked to from the centers were all booked out like 2 months, and my daughter-in-law can't wait 2 months to go see on her prenatal stuff. So they asked me if I could suggest any alternatives. Or alternative strategies. So I went and researched, facilities. I sent them a list that they could compare against the folks they've already talked to, and then they're going tomorrow to a birthing center to check it out and potentially also find out if they have availability after seeing the center. But then following that exchange via text messages and emails, then I called my daughter-in-law and ended up talking to her for about an hour to just catch up on things. And then I also found out that my son had been in the ER the night prior because he was making kind of a shrimp and rice dish, and he put on nitrile gloves, and something in the glove basically ended up causing contact dermatitis on his left hand, not his right hand. So he ended up having to go to the ER. They gave him gabapentin for the nerve pain, which was basically his hand was like on fire. And then they gave him some other stuff, and then steroids, I guess, or I think that's right, like methylprednisone, I think is what it is, for him to take for so many days to get rid of the contact dermatitis. So I was glad that by like 3:30 in the morning, apparently his hand was not as it wasn't as painful, so therefore he could go to sleep. So that worked out. So anyway, that was day 115. Now today, day 114, I had an early morning meeting this morning with our folks in Singapore, and then following that, I had a dentist appointment So I go to the dentist every 4 months since I have type 2 diabetes. The increased blood sugar causes tartar buildup to increase substantially over what a non-diabetic person has, and then that tartar buildup, if you don't take care of it, can cause other complications from diabetes that I don't want. So in any event, went and had that taken care of this morning, and then after I got back, caught up on my work, and then took my wife out. We went and had Chinese, and so I had the house special lo mein, and she had chicken, I guess almond chicken, which she won't get again. She didn't really care for it. The breading on the chicken came out more like sweet and sour chicken, and then it was like a brown gravy instead of obviously like a sweet and sour sauce. But the breading just, it didn't sit well with both the sauce, and just she didn't like it. Then I texted with my sister and found out that she finished the negotiation and she is under contract for a condo. So super happy for her. This has been a long-standing dream of hers for as long as I can remember. She's wanted to have a place in Colorado to be able to go skiing and just go there in the summers and what have you. So pretty happy for her that she's going to be able to make that happen. Then I had scheduled end of last week, I scheduled a meeting for my annual insurance review, and I call it that. I mean, I'm not planning on buying any more insurance, but I meet annually with my rep, go over the policies that I have, find out ways that I can leverage those policies as I move into retirement, because I do have policies that are specifically there as our death benefit, but then I have other policies like long-term care policy and other policies that I either can annuitize, or I can take cash value out of, or I can do other things with that. And so I'll chat with him tomorrow to go over what those opportunities are as I again prepare for the end of the year retirement. And then I had a really brief conversation with my son at the end of the day after the market closed. He had sent me some information on what was happening with GameStop and a special dividend that they were issuing with new warrants and such. And so while I read the announcements, I didn't quite understand really how you would leverage that. So anyway, we chatted really briefly, and just he filled me in on how that would work. I'm not a GameStop stockholder, so it was just more informational. But then I did see that Oracle skyrocketed after earnings were released today, and I am a stockholder of that, so that was pretty positive. I mean, it was up over 20% after hours. Now I don't expect it to hold that, but like it was a good initial response to whatever the announcement was, because again, I hadn't had time at that point, nor have I since then yet, going in to see what they actually announced. Just it was a very positive, obviously, stock price response. So I was glad to hear that. And then for dinner, to go along with a side salad, I just made two different types of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. One that was lemon pepper seasoned, and one that was a custom barbecue blend that I make. And so while we were eating dinner, I ended up watching a recording of Closing Bell. So that caught me up on what was happening during the day with the market. And then after dinner, I started researching free over-the-air channels that are available in my area. And so I quite honestly have a fair amount of local channels plus PBS and some other things that I can get, which is great. And then I checked a variety of indoor-outdoor antennas that I would have to use to do that, such as the Channel Master Pro model UHF and VHF TV antenna. They're preamp bundles, couplers. So when I used to live down the road a little bit in a different house, I had put a over-the-air antenna in my attic, mounted upside down, pointing to the right place, and then hooked that up through my cable system external to the house, and then was able to get over-the-air HD quality channels on all our televisions that were in the house I didn't really want to have to do that again when we moved here, which is why we got DirecTV streaming. But now with what DirecTV is doing, I'm more inclined to go down that route. And so I researched that, and then I went out and looked at other, bundled offerings, and I basically can get Sling Blue with News Extra, which will give me all the other than our local channels, will give me all the other channels that we watch plus a bunch more, and the cost would be $51.99 a month versus the $92.99 a month that DirecTV is going to be charging. Plus, I get up to 50 hours of DVR functionality versus only 20 hours on DirecTV. So net, I can save quite a bit of money each month by switching over to something like Sling and using an over-the-air antenna. So from back in the day when I had the previous antenna, I had bought a TiVo unit that was a TiVo over-the-air unit, and it came with a lifetime channel guide subscription. So I still have it. It's just been in a box up in my attic, so I'm going to have to dig that out, hook it up, make sure that the account still shows as active and I can use that. And then if I go get an over-the-air antenna, I can plug it into that. That'll let me both see the channel guide and record anything that's over the air that I want. And then, if I decide to go forward with Sling or some other streaming service, then the DVR functionality will already be built in for that, for the other programming that's not over the air. So anyway, that's what I've been doing for the last 2 days. And so that's my update for today and for yesterday. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below or drop me an email at myretirementramblings@gmail.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great evening, and until tomorrow, take care.